All right, here we go. Question number 24 from our 0314 homework number 5 in MyLab Math. And the instructions say find the following. Assume that x can represent any real number. Use absolute value notation when necessary. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate how to actually simplify this using two strategies. So let's get started. First of all, notice that the 16 and the x squared, those are attached with multiplication. And since those are separate factors, what I can do is I can break that up into two separate radicals, like so. So I can take the square root of 16 and the square root of x squared separately. We know that the square root of 16 is 4, and the reason we know that is because 4 times 4 is 16, and a square root, which has an understood index of 2, means that if you have two of a kind, then your answer is one of those factors. So the square root of 16 is 4 because two factors of 4 make 16. Now, for x squared, we know that x times x is x squared. Using the same logic, since a square root has an index of 2, meaning if you have two of the same factor, then the square root is one of those factors. So the square root of x squared is x. Now, if I leave it like this, and we assume x originally was a negative number, we know that a negative number squared becomes positive, which would not violate the square root. So in order to keep that down here positive, we're going to have to add the absolute value just in case x was negative in the original problem. Down here, it would make the answer negative when we know a square root can't equal a negative number. So that's the reason we need the absolute value this time, okay? Now, for the second approach, something that you may or may not know is that a square root, again, which has an index of 2, what that means, it means that you can rewrite the radical as a rational exponent. So square root also means to the 1/2 power. And again, since we have two separate factors raised to this power, using one of the properties of exponents, we know that that exponent is going to distribute to both of the powers, okay? So that's going to end up being 16 to the 1/2 power, because the 16 had an understood 1 for an exponent, and 1 times a half is a half. The x squared is also going to get the 1/2 power. And if we rewrite 16 as 4 squared to the 1/2, because 4 squared is 16, we can now see that we have an exponent raised to an exponent. And again, using the properties of exponents, when you have an exponent raised to another exponent, the exponents multiply. So what is 2 times a half? Or in other words, what is half of 2? Well, it's 1. And so that would be 4 to the 1 power. Over here, we have the same multiplication. 2 times a half, well, that's to the 1 power. And anything to the first power is itself. And so that answer is going to be 4x. And again, if you look at this, assuming that x is negative, a negative number squared becomes positive. And so this altogether would end up being a positive outcome, where down here, if you plug in the negative, it would be a negative outcome. So we need the absolute value. All right, so either approach gives us the same results. And now we get to see if I'm right. So that's going to be 2 absolute value of x, hopefully, as the answer. Bam. All right, so I hope all of that was helpful. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to put those in the comment section below, or you can text me. And thanks for watching.